Good afternoon, everyone. This is Matt over at Milestone Capital Growth Portfolio.com. Today is Sunday, November 2nd. I wanted to take a look at two stocks today, and one is going to be BIB, and that's NASDAQ Biotechnology, and then we're going to take a look at the S&P 500, so SPY. All right, BIB has made a big move here since this double bottom at 86. It's just had a huge run up to 126. Definitely overbought now. As you can see, your relative strength index is right around 86, depending on which relative strength index you use. I use 14 on this program, and if you look at the sell candle that it had also, this is a daily chart, so you can see here huge sell-off starting, and momentum has trickled off, and your stochastics is about to turn. So all those indicators are saying this is a great short right now. But looking forward, is this worth an investment? And I'm going to say yes, it is worth an investment if you're not in this long term yet. And just by looking at this here, we're going to get a healthy pullback on the daily. Some of the profit takers from down here, it always happens, and we can enjoy that. It's going to give us an opportunity to enter in some kind of area where it's going to be a lower price than it is now to move higher. So if you look here, we have a nice little gap right here. Okay, there's been no trade. There were no trades in this area, and that most gaps get filled. 99.9% of the gaps get filled, and especially with BIB, I'll explain a little bit further once we get into more detail. But for now, your first target on this, if you're really looking to go for a long entry, I would be waiting for this area down here, okay? Because you have a lot of support on your daily. You have your 50-day moving average, you have your middle Bollinger Band, and you have this gap that needs to get filled. So tentatively, it could drop down to there. As you could see here, when you get to a certain point, then this stuff comes down, up, down, up. That's why using the indicators are very important. And as you can see, momentum has made it its highest that it's made it yet so far. So now it's going to take a little break, and some profit takers are going to come into it. So what's important about this setup here, and you may think I'm crazy about going long right now, but I'm not saying right now, only when an entry presents itself. Take a look at the weekly now, and then we'll get into some detail that you'll really like. So they did a reverse split back on, let's see, what's it say, 124-14, 2014 here, okay, in January. So they did this split, and ever since then, all right, we had a little move up to the 50, and then we pulled back down, consolidated, broke the middle Bollinger Band, which is bullish, okay. So now it's holding that area right now, and you can see it's holding this middle Bollinger Band and the 200-day moving average all the way. The one little dip it had pulled back down to the 200-day and then shot right back off it and recovered. And you can see how it's making up this ground here to actually come up to this split. Okay. Now there are patterns to every single chart. Okay. So here we have a target of 185, and your support level would be right around this area that I was showing you, which is going to be, right around here where this candle is, so we can get a hammer and then push back up again. But you can see the massive volume coming into it. Momentum is high, stochastics is high, and your relative strength index is getting a little bit high. So you can see here how the pattern is higher lows all the way up on a continuous basis all year long. Okay, after the one bottom that we had down here in April. All right, so that was our bottom in April, and we're just continually making strides to the upside. Now, to get into a little more detail, let's take a look at a monthly so we can see how patterns really work. All right, so this one here is a fantastic chart to use for training. Okay, so your relative strength index is at 52. You're already over the middle of Bollinger Band for the month, and you have massive volume for the month, and momentum is just starting to turn to the upside, as you can see here, and here how that happened, and it brought it up. So defining patterns and being able to trade those patterns is very important. So here was your bottom. You have this bottom right here. All right. So your support is here, pretty much the same area. A little bit higher this time over here. Okay, and if I lower this down to where this hammer was, okay, so that was your support. Pull this down on this one, that was your support, this candle here, and on this one here, we'll throw another line. So this was your support. Okay, so you see higher lows each time on these splits. It's done 3 splits, it's done 2 splits since the company went public. Now, there's a trend that you need to follow. Okay, so the trend is to the upside on each one of these where it has completed its gap, and I'll explain that in just a second. How we have those gaps, and all gaps get filled. So we'll just leave these here so you can see them. I'll run these off to the bottom of the candles. Not trying to be exact, I'm just trying to give you the basic trajectory here. So, all right, here's our gap. Very important gap right here. All right, just this is a gap. So you have this gap when the split took place. All right. So what happened was after it broke the middle Bollinger Band after the split, it ran up about $20 higher than this point. Okay. So it was about $20 higher on this split than it was on this last high. So we know the higher lows are set in place on the splits, so we already know that. So if we come up here, now we have this is going to be resistance, but if you break over it, it's going to be support, okay? So we did that and it moved $20 higher up this next pattern right here. So off this next pattern, we did another split. Brought it right down, made a higher low off these other two lows, and now we're back up here. So we met the resistance. You can see the resistance here. We are in the uptrend pattern and we are over the middle Bollinger Band. So you can see that everything is just fallen into place for this thing to make a bigger move. Same pattern as all these other patterns here, here, and here. So now where's it going to go? Well, there's two ways to look at this. Let's get rid of this one. We already know that. We already know this. Now we're going to take this and come off the top of this candle, okay? Whoops. So coming off the top of this candle, you're going to see our next move, okay? So our next move is going to end in 2015 at some point, okay? So you could see here, this is the top of this is the top of this, okay? So that's our trend top, all right? And currently, the way we're running right now is we're coming up to here. So when you're planning a trade out, all right, here are your dips. You want to catch the bottom of these candles, and I'm getting a little bit closer here so you can see most of these hit, and hit, acted as support, okay? But now you're over the middle of the Bollinger Band. Look what happens after you get over the middle Bollinger Band, all right? Then you stop moving a little bit higher. We'll get rid of this now. So if you're going to plan the full trade out, you could still get in on this, and I showed you on the daily, on the dip, and you're still good for a long term. So if you're trying to really think this through and when it's going to hit and the potential and the amount and everything, let's draw it out. Okay, so we know it's going to hit that, and here's the potential trend. So you're looking at January 2016, somewhere in that area, where you're going to, because it's going to start moving a little bit faster. As you can see, once you get up in this area, it starts picking up pace a little bit. So, but the current trend is showing January 2015 that this stock could potentially be at 181. Okay, and we're at 121 now. So no, you didn't miss the measured move. The measured move is here. So this is, I wanted everybody to see this for a perfect example of how to use all your time frames to plan your trade out. And you could do this with any chart at any given point. And it's very important that you do so, because any of these pullbacks, people get shaken out and, oh, it's going to drop, it's going to tank, and it's this and it's that. If you're looking for an investment, you have to plan your investment for a long term. And from long term, if you purchase down here at 73 and hold up to 181 or wherever it's going to go in that area, there is nothing wrong with that. That's massive. It's 150% profit on your trade. So that's how you want to plan all your longer term stuff out. Pick your entries on the bottom, find your supports, and then go along with it. So if you're not in this yet, it's creating an opportunity at this point if you use the daily chart. Okay, so the daily chart, you know where the support is, you know where the gap is that needs to get closed, and then you can plan your trade. Even if you're doing leaps on options, buy them and forget about them. Don't look back at it because you know where it's going to go because it's a pattern on the monthly. All right, let's take a look at the S&P 500 real quick here. And we're going to stick with the daily. You can see we came into some resistance here on Friday with this double top right here. Let's get this a little closer if I can. It's more than a double top. You get multiple tops here, and this one came in pretty hot, and it closed pretty solid. But we have a big nasty gap right here. All right, from 199.60 up to the 200. But this low, it's 190 on the 60-minute chart, and I explained that in live chat how we get our own little target areas and all that stuff. So, but we are definitely overbought right now on the daily, and just going by this RSI. But if you use stock charts, it's at 56, so still has more room. So we'll have to see what happens. But you can see here that your momentum is starting to level off, and your stochastics is starting to level off also. And some other indicators that we use about 35 on one of our other charting systems. They're really starting to get overbought, and it's ready to take a break to the downside. Now, whether the catalyst is going to be the election on Tuesday, something's going to be a catalyst where it's going to turn us around for a nice healthy dip again. But the pattern for the upside is definitely there. So if you look at the monthly, like I was just doing in the other thing, you could see it was dummy proof why we said buy this right here when it hit 181 and change, and ride it all the way up to the gap fill on the 15-minute, which was at 200. So we actually went much higher than that, but nice parabolic move where everybody made huge money. Okay, look at the volume that came into this for the month. Okay, this is a big month for the S&P 500 last month. Now we're in a new month, so what's going to take place? And it's going to be important to trade the short term and trade the long term, because this pattern is up. But if we have created this triple top right here, okay, then this thing could pull down hardcore and take a nice break, but we could still maintain this for another month or so. So we'll have to see what happens. It could still drift down. We don't need that. Still drift down. But if you look for the daily, the daily is saying it's going to take a break very shortly and pull back down to probably, these gap areas. 199 is a first gap on the daily, but even bigger. Look at this one. 190.59 is a downside target for this one. Okay, you can do 1 week or 2 week. The way this moves, I mean, it's just parabolic, crazy fast. But that's our gap that needs to get filled. Okay, so this move, you got a nice V move here to the upside. Now you're gonna have V move down and then back up. But if you notice, it's going to create a higher low. So that's going to be important to maintain the same trend that we're planning here, which is the uptrend line. And it's going to stay in the uptrend. It's just going to fill this gap. So, excuse me. Even if you plan at something like this, and you see it's going to make that move to the downside, which is fine. It's what it needs. It needs to get this, get this area filled before it heads back up to the upside and make new highs. And the relative strength needs to break, and your momentum is going to take a break, and your stochastics is going to take a break. Then we're going to make a nice move back up to the upside. All right, this is Matt over at Milestone Capital Growth Portfolio.com. If you want to learn all this stuff, and if you want to enjoy the benefits of trading with us and all these guys who really are starting to take into account all the different setups on the daily, weekly, monthly, 60 minutes, how to use all the time frames to capitalize on your profits, then definitely join us. It's a great time. All right, enjoy the rest of the football today and have yourself a great day. We will see you tomorrow.